So how are these institutions regulated?
Well, they're not, is the answer. These are private institutions. A majority of the ones that we're concerned about because they're abusive are also religious institutions. Like in the US, while we may be, hooray, conversion is outlawed in this state or this state, and it's only a few, I assure you, and we're talking specifically conversion, we have religious exemptions, right? So it doesn't even matter because these programs that are religiously based don't have to follow any of that. So there's no monitoring. We don't know which kids are sent where. There are a handful of states that are passing legislation to have some level of monitoring. Like I think in California, if they send a kid from California out of state to another program, they need to report it to California. Alabama passed some, but this is because of like local real life hero vigilantes. These are that we have you'll have a local sheriff who has a local school, and the corruption locally and even all the way up to the White House won't solve his problem. So he'll get involved with the news. They'll do a documentary. They'll save these kids. They'll put these guys in prison for 20 years. When we have kids die in the program, like, we mentioned Aaron Bacon, his parents did take it to court and they did win. And these guys literally got community service. At least 3 people were found guilty of the death of Aaron Bacon, and they got like literally slapped with some community service. So they're not really concerned about if monitoring were to come into place. There has, since Congress, if people are really into this, 2007 is when the investigation starts. 2008 is when you have like a lot of the testimonials and you get to hear the findings of the GAO investigation. And at that point, George Miller tried to start a federal bill to create some sort of oversight, regulation, and standards in residential programs that house American youth. But it really has never gone anywhere. It just changed hands. Adam Schiff has it now. It's just sat. So it's really not in their best interest. I mean, if you look at these relationships, right? So Mitt Romney, everybody knows who that guy is, right? So when he ran for president both times, the guys that were his financial co-chairs are literally, one is the guy who runs WASP, and the other one was, I think it was Mel Sembler, right? So that's Straight and Kids Incorporated. So these roots are pretty strong. We've had lots of class action lawsuits, lots of attempts, but as long as the political members that, are engaged in this money flow, this, remember, $2 billion a year and what we know about, right? There's no invested interest in them allowing us any oversight.
Yeah, and like, there's no they wouldn't want to pass a bill when they're wreaking the whatever, when it benefits them. And I just want to say, like, it's so funny to me that the most strictest laws that we have in this country are in the southern state of Alabama, which there's some pretty, if you operate one of these programs in Alabama, it's really hard to get by the regulations that they passed, I believe in 2016, I forget, recently. It's just funny to me that one of the reddest states in the union has passed, the only state has passed a really good bill trying to get these programs regulated. And yeah, no other state really has anything close to that. And of course, not the federal government, not when Mitt Romney sits as a senator in Utah, one of the worst states for these programs. I mean, Utah has a million of them, and they're really concentrated in Utah. So yeah, when you have members of Congress benefiting from these programs, why would they pass any legislation?
Per Utah, programs that we're talking about in Utah make up almost or over, you can look it up on the internet. I'm not a statistician. It's over 41% of their gross income as a state, right? And a lot of these are not religious, especially the wilderness boot camps and whatever. So they are paying taxes into these systems.